The Small Cap Power Expert Interview.
Today on the Small Cap Power Expert Interview, we welcome Steve Palmer, the CEO and Chief Investment Officer at AlphaNorth Asset Management. Steve, thanks for joining us again today.
Thanks for inviting me.
So, Steve, for the benefit of our new viewers, can you give us a brief background to AlphaNorth, your fund, and your focus?
AlphaNorth was founded in 2007. We focus on micro and small cap Canadian equities. We have three funds, two mutual funds. There's an AlphaNorth Growth Fund, which is diversified across sectors, an AlphaNorth Resource Fund, and AlphaNorth Partners Fund, which is a long bias small cap hedge fund.
What's your core investment philosophy, and how do you use it to choose the stocks for your funds?
Well, we like to pick stocks on the basis of risk versus reward. So we try to find situations that have very attractive reward or upside potential while minimizing the risk. We also like to look at companies that have a proprietary technology and are not dependent on acquisitions for growth.
So as a leading fund manager, what advice can you give to small cap investors right now?
Well, in the current market, it's always best to stick with strong management teams and companies that are well financed, or management teams that have the ability to get financing. That's been my focus.
Well, when we look at small caps, they've traditionally been much more volatile in compared to something like a large cap fund. Mm-hmm. How do you sort of manage that discrepancy?
They are more volatile than large caps, but if you look at the long-term performance of small cap equities, it's far higher than the large caps. So that's why we focus on small caps. We're trying to maximize returns over the longer term. So it's only logical to invest in the area that offers the best returns. There's also a misperception with large caps I think many investors have, is that perception of less risk. But there's been many occasions where large cap stocks can go to zero. There's many Dow 30 companies that from 20 years ago that don't exist anymore.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit, that misperception?
The good thing about small caps is you can, if you find the right ones, you can have very significant returns, like 10 times your money or more. It's much more difficult when you are investing in a larger company. Some companies in recent memory that have basically gone bankrupt, GM, AIG, WorldCom, Enron, there's a lot of mega cap companies that have done very poorly.
Is there an audience for, or sort of a pool of investors who are still interested in small caps at this time?
That pool is shrinking due to the recent underperformance of the small caps. But I think it'll come back. There's signs that to be optimistic.
You talked about the returns in a small cap. When might we see some of those returns come back?
Well, I'm looking at over the next several months to have evidence that there has been a turn in momentum for the small caps. We've been in a bear market now for over 4 years. So the timing is right where you'd expect things to turn and go the other way.
Steve, your company recently did some research into the bull and bear trends on the Canadian Venture Exchange since 1980. Can you tell us what your research showed and perhaps how it might impact investors today?
Our research showed that the bull and bear markets of the venture are quite extreme. So each bull and bear market lasts typically 2 years or more. The bull markets are usually 150% or higher in terms of returns, while the bear markets usually they last 2 years or more, and they're usually minus 70 to minus 80%. So what we take away from this data is that we've been in a bear market now for over 4 years on the venture, and to the August low, it was down 79%. So we believe we're very near a turning point. The other thing we take away is we overlaid the times where the VIX, or the volatility index, spiked above 40%. And this is a measure of investor fear. And it's very highly correlated to the significant lows in the venture index.
What are some of the catalysts you think are driving that return to sort of that uptrend in the venture market?
Well, it'd be hard to predict what the catalyst will be in advance. There may be no particular catalyst. Things may just start going the other way, and it'll be months after the fact that investors realize that the bottom was back in the summer of 2015. We should more seriously look at this area of the market because it is starting to recover.
Now, Steve, when it comes to AlphaNorth and your funds, what are some of the sectors that you're interested in right now, and which ones do you think are poised to outperform in the next 12 months?
Well, we've been focused a lot on technology and healthcare in the last couple years. So we're finding a lot of good opportunities in those sectors. But we also think the resource sectors as well. Many of the stocks in those areas have been beaten up over the last couple years, and the valuations are quite attractive there too.
So we have technology, we have healthcare, and we have resources that you're looking at right now. What about some companies? Can you give us some specific names of companies that you're watching at the moment, and perhaps some of the potential that you see there?
One of the companies that we like is Vigogo. They do processing for high-risk transactions online, and they've already launched in Canada with several of the cryptocurrency players, Bitcoin, for example, and we expect them to expand outside of Canada and process that business. So they typically get a 1% fee on processing those transactions, and the volumes could grow quite significantly. We also like Helios Medical. They have an interesting device, actually, that it stimulates the tongue with electricity, with the idea that the brain can heal itself, in effect. So they're doing 2 trials currently. There's an MS trial that we expect results on in the next few weeks, and they're also doing, in partnership with the U.S. military, a traumatic brain injury trial.
Thanks again, Steve, for taking the time for today's interview.
Great, thanks for having me.
And for more expert interviews, don't forget to check out smallcappower.com and sign up for our newsletter.
Keep up to date with all of your favorite small caps. Subscribe to our free newsletter and get daily investment ideas, breakout stocks, momentum gainers, expert and analyst stock picks, and more. Smallcappower.com, investing ideas and research.